Right guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Crypto Tyke, the inflation avoider, and I'm just talking about what's going on at the moment, and I thought I'd just update people and throw some ideas out there. Obviously none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advice advisor, and yeah, you probably shouldn't take financial advice from me anyway, considering I'm in crypto. Anyway, that aside, how are things at the moment? Well, I'm looking to see what is developing. I've seen another news story recently about the mystery shorter of the markets apparently put on more, or maybe it's just a recycled story from yesterday. I don't know. I didn't really get a chance to read it in depth before making this video. I'll probably give it another read later after this video and then maybe have another update about that, but the eyes are on that. Now obviously a lot of the liquidations have already taken place, so we have to take that into consideration somewhat, but still it isn't stopping me putting some speculative limit orders on with the liquidity that I have, and at the moment it's about as thin as a banana for scales, or yeah, probably a good example. Anyway, my point is this. I was going to say Casper, but I thought now what. But yeah, so if prices drop on certain things, I'm obviously going to be there to scoop them up with that little bit of liquidity that I have in. I just want to keep my options open before the bulk of my liquidity comes in for the month. Obviously then it's about making decisions. Do we play safe, buy Bitcoin, buy Ethereum and Solana, BNB, or do I take some speculative bets in the hope of lowering average prices and preparing for some parabolic alt season? Now, it is worth taking into consideration when you look at the people who are in crypto that surely, when, like I've even said as well, I've been saying, alt season will happen when everybody thinks it's over, and sticking with that tactic and that strategy, then realistically I should be looking for more opportunities and keeping an eye on what's going on with these shorts and seeing if there's another opportunity to scoop up more bargain prices, because there's a lot of bargains around. But at the moment, without the liquidity there to deploy, it's just me still deciding more than anything else. Possibly a 50-50 split, going safe with 50% of it and speculative with the other 50% is probably a more balanced approach. But yeah, all these decisions that I'm making at the moment, because I still believe there will be an alt season, and as I've said from a while back, if that was it, that we've seen is alt season, then we're all screwed anyway. So in for a penny, in for a pound. But then the next thing to start thinking about is what happens next. Obviously the bear market will happen after that, and we'll be stuck in that for a couple of years at least, if not more, and things on the horizon. Now I said that I'm a little bit of a prophet of doom, but in the back of my mind I'm thinking that China at some point have to invade Taiwan. Now I've pegged that at about 2027 if it's going to happen. So it could be a good time to be bulking up on gold and silver in anticipation of something like that happening. Now in the interim, could that mean that there'll be some kind of peace deal brokered over Ukraine? Well, that is easier said than done. But while both are going off, it's an ideal opportunity for China to take advantage of it. And the reason I picked 2027 is to do with what's been going on with China already intimidating Taiwan, and military exercises and stuff like that, which have happened time and time again in that area. But also that they're targeting strengthening their armed forces and military, everything about that as well. So they'll be primed at about that time, and it'd be a very good time for them to do it. So I'm on edge a little bit, looking over my shoulder at that being a possibility. After all, not many people really thought Vladimir Putin would go all in on invading Ukraine before it actually happened, even though he'd had the little green men attacks and stuff like that and had already annexed Crimea. Nobody were expecting him really to do what he did. So in the current climate, I wouldn't write off China invading Taiwan at some point, and that at the very worst will cause, at the very best will cause markets to absolutely crash in panic, probably worse than we've seen in many moons, because if Ukraine's ongoing and then China invade Taiwan, the world is really at a crisis point. But it is, if you're looking from Russia and China's perspective, an ideal time to be doing that. So sorry to be spreading the doom, but part of my, and then what's happening in part of it already priced in with gold, and especially and perhaps with silver as well. But I think people over the coming the next year or so will be pricing in that possibility as well, because if I'm aware of it, obviously those in the money are aware of it as well. So and maybe that is why we're seeing record highs as well with gold and silver, quite possibly in anticipation of something like that happening in 2027. Obviously there is issues with the housing prices on the horizon and things like that you've got that might be getting a bit priced into things as well. But crypto at that point would be a bargain basement, because risk assets like crypto are not where people will be putting their liquidity, which then gives us as buyers good opportunities, as long as we've secured ourselves in the interim in solid investments, to go in and sweep up cheap crypto while everybody is shitting themselves about a third world war. So all of these things are part of my ongoing strategy. Like I said, it's a mixture of short term and long term. I'm looking short term, thinking making as much as I can on alt season and banking on that still happening. Otherwise, we're just in it for the long term with those alts. But on the other hand, I'm also looking at exit strategies and then rotation. Still, Bitcoin to me is a solid one, but that will take a hit as well should 2027 happen, as I suspect it might. You know what I mean? It's like any time after then is going to be fair game, I imagine. I'm not sure it's going to... I don't see it happening before necessarily, but after 2027 we are going to start running a bigger risk if it hasn't happened in 27. It could at any point, and you'll probably be able to track where people are putting the money as well at that point in anticipation. But we shall see. We're not getting a whole lot of news on it either, but we didn't get a whole lot of news on Ukraine really. What happened with Ukraine when it started with the little green men back in 2014, that didn't really get the coverage then after the annexation of Crimea, and people were pretty unaware of what was going on and what was working under the hood there. And so when there was all that build-up of troops on the borders, it came as a bit of a shock to people, and obviously when he actually did invade Ukraine, it came as a massive shock too. But it's bad enough having one of those events going on, let alone China taking advantage of it as well. The reason for that is because we will be spread quite thin, so China will have worked out that, will have calculated all this, that will be spread too thin. Russia will be happy to see us spread even thinner, so that would benefit them as well. So on that side of things, everyone's a winner. And it would be tough times ahead. Whether it'd lead to a world war, again, it's possible, but we cannot say. But the one thing is, it's walking a tightrope, that's all. So that is factored into my thinking, and well worth why I'll be talking more in videos about investing in other assets as well as Bitcoin and altcoins. But for now, it's just a waiting game really to see whether the prices are going to come down even more. I suspect, like I said before, I suspect we could see Casper hit 4 cents or drop into the 4 cents region. It's not a million miles away. And we'll see what materialises on Friday and whether these shorts are a bluff or whether they will just be a further flash crash of prices and aftershock like I described it. But don't forget, a lot of them positions got liquidated first time round, so if you're doing your limit orders, be strategic, do it staggered, DCA'd so to speak, and get ready for that drop should it happen. I've got, like I say, I'm waiting for more liquidity to come in soon, so I could do with anything like that waiting an extra week if possible, so I can be fully prepped and ready to go should anything like that occur. But I am thinking that the pump, you've got to look at it this way. People like the Trumps involved in crypto, and we know I think Don Jr. and Eric are in crypto and buying, and the reasons behind it as well. And you know, it's rumoured Barron is too, and it is something that eventually, as holders of crypto, they are going to want to see that price pump before the end of Donald Trump's term, probably earlier, just so they can make a killing in that market anyway. So while they're in it, there's always a chance that their alt season isn't dead. And it's also worth pointing out that you go big or you go home, don't you really? So there is that possibility that setting some I mean, I'm going over calculations looking at if we had, say, the equivalent pump from an average price, what would that look like? And it looks quite tidy, better than anything we've ever seen before. So there is a chance that there's just so many what ifs in this situation. You know, alt season, for all we know, is dead and buried. But I'm not buying that, and I'm sticking with my original call of, you know, it's no point not going all the way. It's no point copping out when if it just returns to high prices and gets into profit. There's no point copping out there. You know, I might as well ride the whole thing with the altcoins and see how it pans out, and that's what my thinking is. And I just, part of me suspects that what we've seen on the down, if you average out then what the average prices have been of altcoins and Bitcoin, but altcoins mainly, that drop that we saw, I think on top of that higher average where we were a couple of weeks ago, before, well, mid-September, if we look at take those prices as a baseline or just shy of it, then if there's a pump the other way, that's where the big money will be made. But it's just sticking it out and keeping your fingers crossed as well. There's no guarantees in all this. This is just purely my speculation, not financial advice. It's probably fair to say it's based on fuck all. But there's people wanting to make money and people who hold crypto rather than just leverage that will want to pump those prices at some point. And that's where my little radar is going off. So I suspected it could be the biggest, and I don't reckon the one after that would be as big, you know, the next 4-year cycle. this could be the one that serious money is made, generational wealth. So it's a good time to hold alts, although against my better judgment I would play it safe as well. So that's why I'm like 50-50 split of Bitcoin with Ethereum and Solana mixed in, and alts that are bargain prices at the moment. So that's what I'm looking at probably doing when my liquidity comes in. I will see how things look at that time and update my decision. Remember, I've got the long-term strategy, that's not changing, that stays. I'm riding that out, but short-term tactics and things like that, I amend them as I go along to suit the market, so just to get things well balanced and right, so I'm not going to get screwed over if I'm wrong, but I'm not going to lose significant profit if I'm right. Also, bearing in mind a last thought on that, as my cat has just walked up to me wanting letting in, limit orders, sell orders this time, don't forget to set some of those, get your calculations together and what you want in, maybe DCA in, and set them, because if it is parabolic and it does go, I think it's going to go pretty much as fast as it went down, so be prepared for that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button, because it's really important for the algorithm, and some reason, I think it's because I changed my username again, the view count is down, or maybe it's just because I'm boring as fuck. But aside from that, the subscriber count's going up, so do hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't already. And I'll leave it there. I shall catch you later, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.